Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Steve Cunningham with Census Fidelium coming at you with Daily Planet, Clown Planet, Daily Wrap Up, 9:09 p.m., September 17th. Hey, Flower Leaf, at that time, I know I said 10:25 or whatever time it was. What happened is I get done with a lot of stuff, and usually after nap time for the kids, we figure out what time we're going to go out and go play. And so I step out, back off, and we go do something. Usually it's pickleball. There's a park not too far from us, the baseball fields, things like that. And so we got back, and I was like, all right, just give me 5 minutes. Let me put the links together, create the link, which is underneath like the show notes right now, the link. And I'll schedule something else so that all I got to do is get in here and click play and go. And so I didn't even see what the time is. I just extended out so deep. So just in case something happens, it doesn't start pretty much like, hey, you got to start now or whatever. So it was 10:25 on the official time, but I wasn't going to, hopefully we'll be done by then. So yeah, sorry about the confusion on the time frame. It's really anytime I can get this thing rolling. So let's go ahead and get rolling here. Thank you for guys joining. By the way, let's get started off. Underneath is the link or the links in the video. So you usually would click the description section and you'll see all the links. Well, it was getting filled up. So I decided to make a link on the censusfidelium.com site. Everything's there. You got the video, you got everything right there. Bada bing done. So because of that, let's go ahead and get rolling. Here in North Kakalaki, in Iredell County, Iredell, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know North Carolina history, Governor Allen Iredell was the first governor of North Carolina. And he was he was one, not to get controversial, that remember the whole 3/5 compromise thing and the Constitution thing? Well, he was upset that he was one of those guys that got upset going, why are you guys calling talking about the slaves at the time? They're not 3/5 are human. These guys are human beings. They treated like they're humans. Just one of those little comments that usually never gets taught in state-run education camps, aka schools. Yeah, it's one of those, again, people don't think, these Southerners were a bunch of racists. Actually, it was the North. The South treated everybody. I mean, if you're free, you're free. If you're a slave, didn't matter what color you were. But if you were free, there was free blacks that had black slaves, especially down here. There's free men that fought in the Confederacy, many of them. The guy in South Carolina, there was a guy named William Ellison, richest man in the state, in this Confederacy, black man, richest man. He was the Donald Trump of that time. The currency, he made the currency. His kids were in the artillery. You're not going to hear that in government schools. Anyway, let's get back to this. A capuchin monkey is loose in Troutman. There's a place called Zootopia, and it's one of those you drive your cars through. You got zebras and things like that. It's a pending thing. You feed them from your cars type deal. Well, somehow a monkey got loose and it's running all through the city. They only got film of him climbing a power line. I just saw it on local news. They're putting traps out for the thing and all this. So there's a monkey loose. I don't think they're ever going to find the monkey, but it was kind of a fun story to start out with, because after that we go downhill from there. Hey, it's hump day. Horizon resumes mandatory masking as respiratory illnesses rise in is it New Brunswick? Let me make sure before I say that out loud again. Doesn't say I'm going to say New Brunswick. Yeah, there it is. New Brunswick. Yay! I feel good about myself now. Here's court rules. Florida medical marijuana patients can't own firearms. Well, thank you very much. Again, well, that's also federalism. Florida wants to do it. Florida can do it. Nobody else wants to do it. Nobody else has to do it. That's the beauty about federalism right there. Yeah, we get to the Charlie Kirk show. Day one, Palantir did a show, and then day two, the entire Daily Wire group did a show. So very convenient. The Palantir starts off because you're going to have the Palantir presidency probably for the next 10 years. I got a feeling something's going to happen to DJT in the next year or so. And you're going to have at least 10 years of Vance after that, which is Palantir. which is Peter Thiel, which no Catholic still wants to bring up. Anybody out there in YouTube land or Twitter land or anything like that wants to ask any of the other Catholic guys that do shows why they don't have the spine to call out the Vance Thiel connection, please do that and let me know what they say back. None of them want to talk to me because I'm like this. I bring this up. I don't, sugarcoat, beat around the bush, and I don't care if I ever get called down to Mar-a-Lago. Apparently, everybody else wants to go to Mar-a-Lago. Do not care. Care morally about getting the info right, getting the truth, and making it heaven. But until then, fight for this for my kids. Anyways, I think we're getting played. Melania is wearing a yellow dress in Windsor Castle for the state dinner. President Trump is wearing a tie tux, full evening dress. Obviously, Johnny MAGA loves this. Look how great everyone is dressed. And then you see Melania looking like she's from the street. I mean, look at these beautiful gowns, dresses. And then there's Melania over there with a tube top. We'll get over there eventually. There we are. USA, USA, USA. That's a long darn table. Imagine being by yourself from one end to the other. Remember, don't ever watch it. You can't watch it now without VidAngel. But remember Coming to America when they're sitting all the way on the sides of each other, one on the end, and they have to use a remote, like a walkie-talkie. Can you pass the pepper? It's kind of like that. Break in Randy Fine, the kindest representative the U.S. has ever had from the state of Florida, being sarcastic, calls for a public firing squad for the entire world to see of Tyler Robinson. Isn't it this? There's a lot of quote-unquote conservatives, quote-unquote Christ followers that want to see somebody blown away on national TV. I think, actually, it's kind of funny someone said that. All right, you saw the Kirk thing. I remember Media Monarchy, James Allen Pilato talking about that. See, he's saying something like, people are so out of it that the people actually want to see somebody killed on TV. That's the level we've gotten as a society. If you're coming to the Charlie Kirk Remembrance event in Glendale, Arizona this Sunday, do not miss these two details. Number one, dress code. Sunday best in red, white, or blue has been requested. Number two, carpool if you can. There will be no overnight parking and the lot doesn't open until 7 a.m. This Sunday, they anticipate a large influx of visitors for the event at State Farm Stadium. Please be patient and expect delays in the area. Remember, no overnight camping is allowed as it's private property. How's it private? I guarantee taxpayer money is paying for that darn thing. It's a football stadium. You telling me Glendale, the State Farm Stadium is the only stadium that doesn't have taxpayer money? That's taxpayer money's in it. But they're going to call it private. So the owner owns it, but he still gets your money to build the darn thing. Yeah, I'd question that one. And see, this Sunday, Glendale, Arizona, Erica, Kirk, Donald J. Trump, J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., RFKJ, Pete Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, Donald DJT Jr., Tucker Carlson, Stephen Miller, Sergio Gore, Susanna Scott, more names to announce. No, it's funny about that. All of them are pretty much all Zionists, except for I don't think Erica is, and Tucker is not. I don't think Tucker's pretty much on not in online with everything. I don't know about the Sergio guy, but I know the rest of those guys: Miller, Trump, Gabbard, Hegseth, and Rubio for sure, and Kennedy, and Vance, and once and future King DJT. They're all Zionists. Let me play this. Because Greg is a great little investigator. So let me play this in case you haven't seen it.
Kirk's death is being used by political agents to attack freedom of speech and to further divide an already divided nation. Many are wondering what happens next. And most financial analysts these days will tell you what's next. Radical change in the U.S. economy is coming. The U.S. government is facing a criminally irresponsible debt crisis. The world is losing faith in the dollar and growing more and more disgusted with the crimes against humanity that the USD money printing machines are funding every day. Cutting spending didn't work, and the next attempt to try and save the U.S. debt-based system can be found in the recent Genius Act. In short-term investing, the volatility of Bitcoin can allow a person to profit immensely, but only if they have a stablecoin to convert to when the market corrects itself. This is the foundational purpose of a stablecoin, to maintain a stable value so that one's investment can be temporarily secured. The plan outlined in the Genius Act is to create an increased demand for U.S. debt by requiring stablecoin companies to be backed by U.S. debt, thereby using stablecoins as a way to funnel global money into U.S. government debt. President Putin's advisor, Anton Kobyakov, says that the U.S. is planning a worldwide crypto rug pull to erase its massive debt by creating a U.S. debt-based stablecoin system and then devalue it, robbing the people of their money to pay off its debt.
Right now, America is trying to change the rules in the gold and cryptocurrency markets. Remember how much debt they have, $35 trillion. The US, just as it did in the 1930s and 1970s, will solve its financial problems at the expense of the entire world, driving everyone where? Into the cryptocurrency cloud. Over time, when part of the US national debt is placed in stablecoins, the US will devalue that debt. Once again, in simple terms, right now they have a $35 trillion currency debt. They move it into crypto, into the cloud, devalue it, and start from scratch.
Of course, this is all just money out of thin air, a desperate monetary sleight of hand that doesn't create new wealth and only shows that the system has failed. To show that Russia and other countries will not go along with this, he also said that the world will split up into zones.
The world isn't just moving to a new type of financial system. The world is moving away from fiat money and dividing into zones.
This is referring to a multipolar world where different sets of rules are applied to different zones, and signals the strong possibility that BRICS will not be buying U.S. debt in the near future. It is important to remember that the term and the idea of BRICS was conceived in 2001 by an economist at Goldman Sachs. U.S. regulations on stablecoins will likely push the market offshore, where stablecoin issuers will turn to real-world assets over U.S. debt. The U.S. will then have to manage the debt crisis by taxing the American people, most likely with a carbon tax system. Stablecoins have been predominantly used for investing, but they also have the ability to freeze and seize your money, which should please Trump supporters who have been giddy schoolgirls over canceling people who offend them online. The future of technocratic banking control is already being deployed in Vietnam, who recently implemented a nationwide digital ID system that requires both citizens and foreign residents to permit the government to store their biometric data in a centralized database. Participation is not optional, and all accounts without biometric data will be closed. The Vietnamese government has already erased and/or frozen 86 million bank accounts, and Vietnam is just the beta test. This is soon going worldwide. Greg Reese reporting.
It can't happen here.
Isn't that fun, huh? Yeah, get ready for that one. Buckle up, Buttercup. Hate crime charge after subway rider called white boy, then brutally attacked on the L train. A young woman is facing hate crime charges after allegedly assaulting a fellow passenger in a violent, unprovoked attack on a Manhattan subway train, according to the New York Compost. The incident unfolded around 2:10 a.m. Sunday abroad at the southbound L train, 1st Avenue and East 14th. That looked reportedly sent Giddens into a fury. She began striking the rider in the face multiple times while hurling slurs, shouting "white boy" and "cracker," according to the criminal complaint. The repeated punches left the victim with a bloody nose, though he declined medical treatment, police said. Let's see, during the ramming, suspect remained charged, blah, blah, blah. So they're calling it a hate crime, unlike the other happy crimes that are committed around town. If you're ever a victim of a happy crime, Please let everyone know that it was a smiley face happy crime and not a bad hate crime. US UK signed $42 billion tech deal to boost AI partnership. United Kingdom, United States, by the way, just so happens that they're at, our king is with their king over there in United Kingdom doing this. They signed a $42 billion deal. United Kingdom and these United States struck a technology pact on September 16th, yesterday, that would bring $42 billion in investments from U.S. tech giants into the UK's AI infrastructure. The deal was reached as once a future King President DJT arrived in the UK for a 2-day state visit, during which he is expected to meet King Charles and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Under the tech prosperity deal, the two nations, we're not a nation, by the way. This is not a nation. Agreed to cooperate in advancing AI, quantum computing, and nuclear technology, according to a statement issued by the UK government. Major U.S. tech companies, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Google, OpenAI, and CoreWeave will invest in the UK's AI infrastructure, including data centers and computer chips, as part of their agreement. The deal is expected to generate more than 5,000 jobs in the northeast of England, which the UK government said will become a new AI growth zone. Please move out of the northeast of England because it's going to be a hellfire on earth area. State Department severs ties with armed queers-affiliated NGO. Marxist group nukes socials. The State Department source confirmed to the Blaze News that any ties to Utah global diplomacy, which existed indirectly via an external implementer, are being completely severed and dismantled. As we reported earlier, Armed Queers SLC founder, Armed Queers SLC, when they were putting that together in the state, when you have to file, they, get something and, incorporate all that, they had to have a laugh about this, right? Somebody had to have a laugh. Oh, yeah. I guess 925 started. Yeah. Oops. Again, sorry. Hey, Flower Leaf. I mentioned this at the beginning of the video, just to go back. If you want to go by why I screwed that up, I'm sorry about that. But yeah. The time is always movable. I'm not buying this. MAGA dismisses claims Kirk assassin acted alone, and everyone else is talking about it too. Steve Bannon claims truth behind conservative podcaster's death is, quote, far deeper and far more malignant. Well, I guess I'm in the same boat that Mr. Bannon, going, hey guys, this is what we're being told is a bunch of malarkey and don't buy it. Allies of once and future King DJT have dismissed claims Kirk was killed by a lone assassin, and anybody with 2 working brain cells should be thinking that too. Senior figures in the MAGA movement believe Tyler Robinson, the student charged with Kirk's murder, is part of a wider conspiracy involving a left-wing terrorist network, and the authorities need to widen the scope of their investigation. I don't know about, I'm absolutely not buying this theory yet. There's a vast conspiracy at the back of this. Yeah, it's because they can't get their stories right. Here's Thomas Massey. Here what happened was Greg Price goes, Thomas Massey was just the only Republican who voted against bills requiring D.C. to charge people aged 18 to 24 as adults and lowering the age to 14, that people in D.C. can be tried as adults for first-degree murder, sexual assault, armed robbery, and assault. Massey goes, let me get this straight. Congress wants to prosecute 14-year-olds as adults, but they don't want to prosecute adults who sexually abuse 14-year-olds. Release the Epstein files. MTG, Marjorie the Gathering, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, issues warning about Jews taking over Christian patriotic Turning Point USA. I would substitute Jews for Zionists, but hey, that's just me. Representative MTG of Georgia joined the chorus of hard right influencers posting their text messages from Charlie Kirk as the MAGA world debates Owens and Tucker Carlson's claim that Kirk had turned on his most favored nation. Owens has gone on to widely claim Kirk was feeling blackmailed by Israel ahead of his death, despite Kirk being one of the most pro-Israel voices on the right. Now, they kind of spin that because he was one of the most vocal, and then he started questioning things. Charlie Kirk invited me to speak at AmFest a few weeks ago before he was martyred. Again, they're pushing this martyrdom of the state. Again, he wasn't killed for Odium Fide. He wasn't. if it depends on the narrative. Now, if you hear one group say he was killed for speaking about Christ, you have one people saying that he was killed speaking about anything against trannies and things like this. When you got one group of people that was saying most favored nation probably just killed him because they didn't want he was going against Zionism ideas, and he was very influential with the youth and didn't want that to go on. If that is the reason why, then he's not exactly a martyr for Christianity. He's actually a martyr for the state. And we do have a religion. The politics is our religion. And it's kind of weird though, after he got shot, flags were lowered at half staff mass. He was on Air Force Two, was it? They gave him pretty much a soldier's procession, which he wasn't a soldier, but they gave him a soldier's pretty much procession. The after effects of it, and you're not allowed to question, because then if you do, then you hate puppies and you want your grandma to die, I think, and a few other things, because you're the most insensitive person ever afterwards. But you still scratch your head going, yeah, he wasn't the president, he wasn't the governor, he wasn't the commander in the 4th Brigade Battalion or the commander of the Pacific Theater. So why is he getting a soldier's treatment and all that? Okay, yeah, hate puppies. It's the main thing. If you talk about anything contrary to 9/11, if you don't think that the terrorists with box cutters took down all those planes and took out 3 towers with 2 planes, then you hate puppies. And apple pie, grandma, baseball, what else? Probably air conditioning too. Sean King, I kid you not, Israel has used the murder of Charlie Kirk to cover for what I think might be the most destructive week in over a year. Here's a scene: Israeli destruction of the tallest residential building in Gaza. You can look at, there's some stuff that's gone on over there the last week. They took out some kind of little league soccer team. The other just was yesterday, day before. I have to look that up. It's been brutal over there, and I guarantee you haven't seen it on local news. Bomb squad rush to Turning Point USA's Phoenix headquarters as city prepares to host Charlie Kirk's funeral. That was today. Bomb squad rushed to TPUSA's headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona, after a suspicious bag was left outside, police said. Mysterious bag was spotted outside a nonprofit funded by Kirk on Wednesday morning. Spokesperson with the Phoenix PD told the Daily Mail a bomb robot arrived at the scene along with a bomb squad official dressed in explosive ordnance disposal EOD suit. A picture taken by Newsmax journalist John Hoodie showed. And, it is unclear what, if anything, was found inside the bag. There was no threat. And I saw this because Jack was talking about how we're given the all clear and their lives were safe and all that. I remember Lay said there was a bomb threat at Denver International Airport one time, and it ended up being that the dog smelled a cheeseburger. So Trump's threat to target radical left after Kirk killing raises fears. He's trying to silence foes. Yes, never let a crisis go to waste. They are trying to silence anybody right now. Part of the Israeli EO that Kirk ended up being against later on was a crackdown on anybody that talked bad about most favored nation. Once the future king, President DJT, has escalated threats to crackdown on what he describes as the radical left following Kirk's assassination, stirring fears that his administration is trying to harness outrage over the killing to suppress political opposition. Don't worry, he's being very Lincoln-like of him to do this. And if the other team ever gets in power, please do not complain. If you're cheering this on, please do not complain when they do it to you. Here is Ryan Dawson talking about September 9th is the court date for Tyler James Robinson. He doesn't say anything in his video except for I am. So far, he's still has not said a thing, except for I am at the beginning. Of course it will be. And by the way, why is September 29th the important day? Not only because some of us are calling out, hey, it's a feast of St. Michael. So there's actually guys that are comparing it to the, I guess, feast of St. Michael for a rebellion or a retaliation or something like that. But no, Bibi Netanyahu comes on to September 29th as well. Not kidding. I talked about it yesterday. Bibi comes to check out what is see how his workers are doing on September 20th. Don't think that's a coincidence. There are no coincidences. Update, Bondi sparks backlash after vowing to target hate speech. Ex-users call for Bondi to be ousted, as many pointed out that Kirk stood against so-called hate speech. J.D. Vance's free speech claims come back to bite him as he attacks Charlie Kirk critics. Conservatives in the U.S. are calling for people who criticize Kirk or celebrate his death to be fired from their jobs. I don't know if you saw this earlier up here. Trump warns Seth Meyers is next while celebrating Jimmy Kimmel's cancellation as great news for America. Yeah. Remember, we used to not be for cancel culture. Right? We switched up. This team became this team, and this team became this team, and they took the same playbook and just switched sides. And now the fake right is now the cancel culture. Let's see. The VP has jumped on conservative movement, demanding consequences and repercussions for those who have cheered Kirk's killing or even criticized him, calling on the public to turn in anyone who says distasteful things about the assassination of his friend and political ally. When you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call him out. Vance urged listeners on the Slain Activist podcast Monday. Who, by the way, how did anybody get the password to do Kirk's X account and YouTube shows and all this? Who gave that to him? And somehow they got the keys to this. Beck was today. Half the videos they talked about was Beck crying. They were talking about look how emotional he gets. No offense, just to be honest, Beck can cry about anything. You ever watch? I used to watch him back in the day religiously, and if a flea fell down the wrong way, he would tear up. The guy cries over everything. So. And remember, he was also one that's thinking, he was tweeting out that he was going to be okay. Like if he took a shot right there, he's not okay. But he was texting and tweeting it out like he knew what was up. He was. I still can't get over the discrepancy. Ken Klippenstein posted Discord receipt of Taylor Robinson's confessing, quote unquote, to killing Kirk. Wapo said it was the only message posted. Yet New York Times said Taylor was joking with friends on Discord between the shot and when he turned himself in. It's a minute. I'll go ahead and play that real quick just so that y'all can see that.
Now, yesterday, investigative journalist Ken Klippenstein, who I trust a lot, published the screenshot of the Discord message reported in the Washington Post from the day before. Zealous Monkey 55095, that's presumably Robinson. Quote, "Hey guys, I have bad news for you all. It was me at UVU yesterday. I'm sorry for all of this. I'm surrendering through a sheriff friend in a few moments. Thanks for all the good times and laughs. You've been so amazing. Thank you all for everything." That would be damning, but I do want to remind people once again that the Washington Post reported that those were the only messages that Robinson posted on Discord. But for some reason, the New York Times reported numerous messages being sent by Tyler, joking around with his friends after the alleged crime was committed, but before he turned himself in. I don't know what that's all about, but at this point, the authorities are pretty much calling this a done deal. And look, maybe it is. Maybe he was the shooter.
Yeah, there's the full video right here. There was another one. Oh, yeah, here it is. Senator Josh Hawley said Biden's FBI, Brandon's FBI, I don't like calling him Biden. I always like the Brandon idea. Was intimidating Charlie Kirk. Hawley, you can listen.
Why do you think Biden's FBI was really investigating Charlie Kirk?
Try to intimidate him. You know, it's interesting, Jesse, when I heard that today from Chairman Grassley, something came clear to me. Charlie had said to me a couple of years ago now, he'd taken me aside at one point and said, I think that we are being targeted, that TPUSA is being targeted. And he said, can you help us? And I said, anything you need me to do. And he said, well, listen, I'm just finding out about this. This has got to be what he was talking about. And now we know that Joe Biden, once again, weaponized the FBI to go after his political opponents. It's nothing but terrorism. It's an attempt to silence and intimidate. I'm so glad that Charlie
Isn't that what they're doing right now?
was not intimidated right up to the last day that he had on this earth. That is why he is such a sterling example. But you know what? What Joe Biden did in his administration, we can't ever allow to happen again. You look at the climate they created, Charlie. We're reaping the fruits of that now. The climate of hate and division and suspicion that they deliberately created for years to try to hold on to power. It's despicable, and it's time to turn the page on.
I don't want to, say anything, but isn't that what they're doing too? I mean, and by the way, if anybody says there's never been much, we've never been more divided or anything like that, actually, it's probably the worst on that, which is a good thing in a sense. We want more. We're not one nation. That's one thing about it. At least if they would say back in the early 1800s, late 1700s. McClanahan brings this up. You can make an argument saying that 90% of the people in the population was Protestant Christian. And they pretty much agreed on most everything, way of life. Nowadays, it's all sorts of different, like the mayor and the Muslim mayor in Dearborn. Yeah, we put on it yesterday. By the way, imagine if it was a Christian mayor that said, we don't want you in your city. It would be all over. They'd be asking for a firing squad for that guy. But since he's Muslim, no one's going to say anything about it. But yeah, it's when people say one nation, all that, you can at least make the argument back then, at least the same people, even though there wasn't, they were all in the same kind of belief. There's no way, first off, I'm not saying we should be all Protestant, not at all. But at that time, there was very few Catholics, and obviously more of us came over. But now it's what? We got Catholics, we got Protestants, we got Islam, we got Hindus, we got Buddhists, we got non-atheists, we got atheists, it's a smorgasbord of all kinds of things. And then on top of that, you get people that want baby killers, you want weird marriages, you guys got people that think they can be cats one day. So it's literally all over the place. And to think that one vote will change all that is just insanity thinking. But it's a centralization thing. If we break up and decentralize, the reason why all that anger, like he brings up rightly, is because everything's nationalized. Nationalism is the problem. If you bring everything that's nationalized all over, most people are going to get ticked. They don't want their lives taken out because of one vote. Let's say that there's people up here that think that, how about this? Pro-lifers aside. We're on a pro-life ban, but there's a bill going through that looks like it's going to make us have to pay for abortion. Let's pretend this is going on. In a federalism idea, they can't do that to our area because we're in control of our area. In a nationalistic idea, your centralized government gets to dictate how you live, do whatever, and you don't like that. But you end up you have to live with it because you enjoy nationalism. The problem is nationalism. Most people don't want to change that. Here's Daniel McAdams. The woke right celebrating cancel culture just like the woke left. Birds of a feather. It's official. Kimmel's career may be over. Disney ABC just canceled him effective immediately. Just a couple months ago, Trump predicted it. I hear Kimmel is next. I don't like Kimmel, but come on. Here's new TikTok algorithm update is working wonders for Israel. Y'all noticed the last post I made before the update was a story about Trump fearing for his life because of Israel, which is up with no issues. But the two stories I posted since have both been taken down. This is on TikTok. Community guidelines violation. Community guidelines violation. There's ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt told the Israeli Knesset earlier this year how important it was that they capture TikTok. It has now been captured. At least 8 troops punished for social media comments about Kirk's death. Roughly half a dozen service members are facing possible repercussions for allegedly making disrespectful comments about conservative activist Kirk's death. Last week, a Marine officer was relieved of his recruiting duties and placed under investigation for allegedly sharing a meme on Instagram that mocked Kirk's death. I don't know why people would actually do that. And it's just, again, it's just weird to post something that's mocking or all that. I don't know. It's just very, very strange. Then again, the cancer culture is alive and well. FBI arrests man after car crashes into field office gate in Pittsburgh. The driver rammed into an entrance of the compound and draped the American flag on the gate before fleeing. Officials made an arrest after after an hours-long search. Maybe he wanted to pay the bill and just decide. Remember that story about the guy that flew his plane into the IRS building and said, "Hey, you want my money? Here, come take it." YouTube, new leader of U.S. media industry, bets on AI as key for creating content. And I've seen this. They actually have a couple of videos that I can see in the office. They have a little, like This Week in YouTube or whatever, and they talk about stuff like this. There's a lot of that going on. YouTube is on its 20th birthday. YouTube is unrecognizable as the scrappy video site that began as a domain of young amateur users publishing unpolished, low-budget clips, commanding 2.7 billion users, including celebrities like British pop star Dua Lipa, who share professional-grade content. YouTube has become the most popular way for Americans to watch TV and is expected to eclipse industry leader Disney's media revenue this year. On Tuesday, the company's annual Made on YouTube product launched event. Executives at the platform owned by Alphabet's Google laid out a vision of how YouTube planned to dominate the airwaves in the coming decades with AI. Yeah, they've been up in AI content and tools for a long time now. British Insider and the bots. The Axel Springer-owned newsroom is buzzing all over new ChatGPT writing guidelines, part of an aggressive AI strategy pushed by its German parent co and detailed in a memo obtained by Status. He raised 3 Marines. His wife is American. The U.S. wants to deport him. After 3 decades in California, Narcisco Barranco was arrested by agents while weeding outside an IHOP, stirring outrage in a fight to stop his deportation. You know, they keep saying, yeah, we have to get the most dangerous of dangerous guys. Here's a guy weeding outside IHOP. So I guess he's a criminal beyond criminals for doing that. They're taking their jobs. That's what it is. Remember the National Guard in D.C.? They're the ones out there mulching. If you're weed eating or weeding your field or mulching, you could be taking a National Guard man's job. So yeah, you got to stop that. 2 U.S. citizens among 5 arrested at early morning Elgin, Illinois ICE raid. 2 U.S. citizens were among 5 arrested in an early morning ICE raid in Elgin, Illinois, Tuesday, an operation that was shared on social media by Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Those 2 citizens were later released. California nurses decry ICE presence at hospitals, interfering with patient care. Caregiving staff say agents are bringing in patients, often denying them visitors and speaking on their behalf to staff. People are losing hope inside ICE detention centers. Immigrant detainees are not receiving proper mental health care. Lawyers and advocacy groups say, and reports of suicide attempts are persistent. That's a big ad. Trey Reed's family calls for independent autopsy after he was found hanging in tree. Police say video exists. This is in the Great Googly Moogly file. This is in Grenada, Mississippi. The family of Demartravian Trey. They call him. I would be called Trey too if my first name was Demartravian. Did he pass kindergarten with that? Reed is seeking an independent autopsy following the Delta State University student death on Monday, when his body was found hanging in a tree on campus at a press event on Living Faith Miracle Temple Church of God. Wow, that's a long one. Hey, where are you going? We're going to Living Faith Miracle Temple Church of God in Christ in Grenada late Tuesday afternoon. Vanessa J. Jones of the Jones Law Firm, who is representing the Reed family, told the media that the family is still waiting for answers. The family does not know exactly what happened on September the 15th of 2025. We are seeking answers from Delta State University. We are seeking answers from the coroner's office. Japan political party to install AI leader. Okie dokie. An upstart Japanese political party said on Tuesday, September 16th, it will install an artificial intelligence as leader after its maverick founder quit following a disastrous showing in recent elections. All right, I'm out. Good night, everybody. How do you top that one? How do you top that one? Here you go. Dystopian toilets won't give you loo roll unless you watch an advert first, an advertisement. Paying to use the public bathroom isn't a new concept, with plenty of countries charging an entrance fee to allow people to literally spend a penny. But these public toilets in China have taken the concept to new heights. In a move described as dystopian by the anti-consumption subreddit, some public bathrooms in China are forced users to watch an advert in order to gain access to toilet paper. The video shared by China Insider showed a person scanning a QR code and the loo roll dispenser and watching a short advert before a few squares of paper are dispensed. If that's not enough paper, or you do not want to watch the advert, you can pay 5 RMB, about 5p, to skip the ads. It's been claimed the system cuts down on waste, with authorities suggesting some people have been taking excess amounts of free toilet paper. Please show the ad. Okay, which one's the ad? Really? You end up giving me that. There it is. All right, it's a QR code. Oh, okay. So there's the ad. Yay! Okay, that was worse than I thought it was going to be. Internet down as Gaza cut off from outside after IDF bombs down communication towers. Northern Gaza internet and cell service is down after the IDF struck communication towers in the new advance of Gaza City. Residents are unable to connect with the outside world. Good luck. Pray for them. They are about to get toasted. Speaking of which, let me check into Antiwar. Let's go to War Pigs part of the show. IDF sniper details killing Gazans waiting for aid. Israeli attacks and starvation kill 102 more Gazans over 24 hours. Again, no one cares. Pope Leo speaks with Gaza City priest after IDF launches offensive. UN legal investigators conclude Israel is guilty of genocide in Gaza. Netanyahu to visit White House for the fourth time. Bipartisan U.S. delegation draws backlash for largest ever foreign trip. Israeli airstrikes hit Yemen's Hodeidah port. Israeli strikes on Lebanon wound women and children. Israel arming bankrolling Druze fighters in Syria's Suwada. Trump, U.S. has bombed three boats near Venezuela. U.S. places Colombia on rogue nation list for drugs, Petro says. We're just putting everybody on there. U.S. clears NATO-funded arms packages for Ukraine. Trump backs AG Bondi's assertion on hate speech. Of course he's going to back her up. You think you get mad at Bondi, you better get mad at DJT. That's her guy. She's his girl, whatever. I don't know. It's late. America loves cocaine again. Mexico's new drug king cashes in. I love the cocaine. Thinking Buck Cherry. So lit up again. As U.S. jobs disappear, the Federal Reserve returns to cut rates. Yay. Oh, by the way, you have no job, but we're cutting rates. It's getting harder to find work in these United States. U.S. businesses added just 22,000 jobs from July to August, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and massive revisions to federal jobs data show that the pace of hiring was notably low in summer 2025. Gone are the days of 200,000 jobs every month, says Gregory Dacko, chief economist at consulting firm EY Parthenon. We're likely to be in an environment where job growth is hovering around zero, essentially. No, it will get worse. Scientists say being too skinny might kill you quicker than obesity. In another news, scientists have said water is wet. Being too skinny or too fat is not good. It definitely is a happy medium. If you're a walking skeleton, what do you think? Exclusive, sickening sex dolls that look like kids advertised for sale on Facebook. Social media mega giant Meta has profited from over 1,300 ads from websites promoting childlike sex dolls despite the ban on importing them to the UK. Air Force One drama. What happens? Pilots are told to get off the iPad and steer away from Trump's Air Force One jet immediately in close encounter on flight to the UK. What happened? I can't think of Nelly. Air Force One. Air Force One was involved in mid-air drama with a passenger jet as it ferried U.S. once and future King President DJT to Britain on Tuesday, according to reports. An air traffic controller was forced to intervene when he noticed the path of a Spirit Airlines jet converging with the president's plane over Long Island, CBS and Bloomberg reported today. Spirit Flight 1300 was traveling from Fort Lauderdale to Boston when the quick-thinking ATC reportedly noticed their altitudes were similar and paths aligned over New York. The audio shared by them saw the controller tell the Spirit flight to descend and turn 20 degrees right. The voice obstinately belonging to the controller then issued a pay attention and repeated the instruction, turn 20 degrees right now. Again, the voice tells the Spirit pilots to turn immediately, relaying traffic's off your left wing by 8 miles. I'm sure you can see who it is, the voice added. Keep an eye out for him. He's white and blue. Increasingly irate, it then repeats the instruction and says, I've got to talk to you twice every time before reiterating, pay attention, get off the iPad. From the Jerusalem Post, Israel's Iron Beam fully operational to hit missiles along with drones. Firing arrow interceptors can cost millions of shekels. Iron Dome interceptors can cost tens of thousands of shekels, but firing at the Iron Beam is as cheap as turning the light on. I think that's, we'll eventually have that too. Moment NATO jet intercepts Russian Su-30 planes carrying supersonic missiles over the Baltic as Putin taunts the West and latest World War III show of strength. Denmark to buy long-range precision weapons to counter Russian threat. Putin inspects joint Russia-Belarus war games in military uniform. Can you imagine Trump wearing that? Do you think it's his color? U.S. Army places U.S. Typhoon missiles in Japan for first time, enraging China. Man, just poke that bear a little bit. Putin boasts 100,000 troops are participating in Belarus-Russia drills. Fatty foods can scramble your memory just days later. So that's the problem here in the States. Too many fatty foods, and everyone's memories went, what did I just say? I can't find my keys. And some good news. This is a pretty good one. Let me see if I can play it a little bit for you. It was a nice.
Channel 9's Cabarrus County reporter Hannah Getz heard about this story months ago and pushed the courts to release the video. And tonight, we finally get to share it with you.
From the lens of Cabarrus County Deputy Sean Singleton's body camera, this view is nothing out of the ordinary. A standard traffic stop.
The reason I stopped you is 61 and a 45.
But in his line of work, it's also not out of the ordinary to have an interaction like this.
You wouldn't put your lights on until after I slowed down.
Right.
I was going the speed limit.
No, but I clocked you at 61 and a 45. I didn't stop you there. What's with the attitude? Just curious.
Caitlin Ricchini says she was heading home from church when she got pulled over that Sunday.
And I meet him with absolute attitude. Just absolute attitude. We're not allowed to have bad days.
No, everybody's entitled to a bad day.
So
I understand that. Like I said,
pulled over on a day is not fun.
I can understand that completely. Okay, but like I'm trying to be nice and courteous to you, and like I'm getting a lot of heat.
I could tell immediately that it was not the best of encounters. She was very aggravated.
I come from a background where I don't do cops. I can't stand cops.
Keeping his composure, Singleton ran her license and decided, despite the heated interaction, to let her off with a warning.
I understand you're having a day, so I'm not trying to make it any worse. This is a warning ticket for you to slow down. That's it. No court date, No fines, no nothing. All I ask is you pay attention to the speed limit signs, get to where you're getting to safely.
In that moment, something changed.
I could tell something was going on, I just asked a question, and sometimes it elicits an answer that you expect, and sometimes it elicits an answer that you don't expect.
You good?
No.
No?
Anxiety is killing me.
Okay.
I come from a background, I'm clean and sober now, so
Okay.
I don't, I've always had bad
Okay.
incidents with cops. So
Okay.
Deputy Singleton offering words of encouragement, having no idea what Caitlin was going through until this moment.
Is there anything I can do for you? You sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you need help with anything at all? Do you need a hug?
Yeah.
Come here.
I moved out here to get away from an abusive relationship, and I'm clean and I'm sober for 4 months.
Caitlin revealed she was in a fight for her life in sobriety. Battling years of addiction and abuse, she had just moved to North Carolina, leaving her 5-year-old son in Maryland so she could get clean and get him back.
I've never hugged a cop before. I've always been put in handcuffs by them.
Singleton had no idea his humanity and kindness that day changed Caitlin's life and possibly saved it.
I told him, I was like, I'm ready to give up. I was actually on my way to probably do something that wasn't in my best interest.
Take a deep breath, all right? Everything's going to be okay. Okay? You're on the right path. You're doing what you're supposed to be doing now, okay? All right? Don't lose that hope.
That traffic stop happened back in March.
And I left my family and I left my son.
Now, 6 months later,
This is one of the guys that helped save my life.
Caitlin's celebrating 10 months clean.
Can you say hi?
Doing good?
Can you say it's nice to meet you?
And introducing her son Isaiah to the deputy who gave her the strength to get him back.
It's good to see you again. How you been?
Well, don't lose that fight that's in you. Okay? Because there's something in you that's driving you to a better life, right?
Yeah.
All right? Okay? Don't lose that. Hang on to it.
He saw me as a person and not an addict. And he saw my heart. And he saw that I had potential when so many people had counted me out. It's like in a time of desperation, really, like where I was like questioning, like, God, where are you? And he sent me in. It's like an angel. I don't know. I really pray that Jesus blesses you for your kindness, sir.
I'm going to pray for you too.
Thank you.
In Cabarrus County,
You have no idea how much this means to me.
Hannah Gets Channel 9, Eyewitness News.
We see so many like body cam videos that are the complete.
I thought that was a good one. Anyways, great. Wait, oh shoot, I got one more clip. Sorry about that. Not one more clip. This week, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, say it was a good one. A little good news for a lot of crappy news going on. Anyway, this week in the world, or this day in history, I'm sorry, 1978, the Camp David Accords concluded. President, just recently deceased Jimmy Carter, were completed this day in 1978 using a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel. 2011, the first Occupy Wall Street protest. Remember that one? That was pretty fun. 1991, North Korea and South Korea were admitted to the United Nations or stations. 1972, MASH debuted on CBS. Man, I remember watching that. 1948, Dolte was assassinated by Jewish extremists while serving the UN as mediator between the Arabs and the Israelis. That sounds about right. How many mediators have been killed the last couple of times by Israelis? 1939, during World War II, the Soviet Army invaded Poland from the east. 1926, Mexican artist Frida Kahlo was severely injured in a bus accident. 1901, British adventurer Sir Francis Chichester sailed around the world alone. In 1966 and 1967, a 55-foot yacht, Gypsy Moth IV, was born. 1862, Union forces halted the Confederate advance in Maryland during the Battle of Antietam. The battle resulted in more than 26,000 casualties, one of the bloodiest days in the war for Southern independence. 1861, the forces of Buenos Aires province, commanded by Governor Bartolome Mitre, defeated those of Argentine Confederation led by Justo José de Urquiza at the Battle of Pavón. 1849, American Harriet Tubman escaped from the southern plantation where she was enslaved and later led. Well, it's kind of funny because there's a big myth about the Underground Railroad. I could bring that up to you next time. It's what they teach. It never happened. It's in the book South is Right. That was the first time I read about it. It was they do a good job on that one. 1787, the U.S. Constitution was signed by 39 delegates of the Constitutional Convention. 1787, yes. Remember, 1776, between then and now, was the Articles of Confederation. A new government was created in 1787 with the Constitution. Don't worry, you can do that again if we want. 1631, a Swedish Saxon army under King Gustav II Adolf of Sweden destroyed the army of Roman Catholic Habsburg Emperor Ferdinand II and the Catholic League. 1549, Pope Paul III suspended the Council of Trent after Charles V forbade the Spanish and German prelates to go to Bologna. I forgot today. Today's also the feast of the Stigmata of St. Francis, and I think it's the birthday of Bellarmine or the death of Bellarmine. It's one of two. It could be another feast at the feast day of Bellarmine, but Stigmata trumps it on that. Anyway, check it out. I got plenty on the YouTube channel with those over there. I got a 2-hour interview that I did with Ryan long ago on Bellarmine. What's the buttons at? Here we are right there. I'm sorry. Like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz in the show notes or underneath. Don't forget the links below. The link for the links are in the show notes underneath. Click it. You'll see the links. Have a great rest of the night. Talk to you tomorrow, and God love you.